What's up, folks? We are back for another episode of The Panel, but I must say that this episode of The Panel is going to be just a smidge different than normal. As you in the chat may know, Couch Warrior just got married on Sunday. He's now a married man, and as you saw by the thumbnail, I put his little character, his icon, as a cake topper. So I thought that was creative. So if you thought that was creative, please let me know. Thank you, I appreciate it. Monk is on his way. He just got off work. He'll be rolling in any moment now. So me and Steven are just gonna start things off. We're gonna chat a little bit with you guys, all of you watching, all like 3 to 5 of you that keep popping in and out. So. I know we've got a couple of people already in the chat. We got Daz Files as usual. My guy Daz is one of the greatest, always here supporting everybody. He's excited to see Monk on the panel. That's nice. So yeah, it's usually a 4 panel, but we got a 3 panel today. Couch is like I was saying, Couch may pop in. I did send him a link in case he has some time. He may not. And we got Nate, one of the channel members. We always love to see Nate here. He says yo, and Paul also says yo. So what's up, Paul? We got three live chatters right now, but there's plenty more of you watching that haven't jumped in the chat yet. Guys, we're gonna go over all the card, this whole card. We've got 13 fights currently. We had 15, 2 fell off. We had 13, then they added some, and then some disappeared. So we're gonna cover all of it, right? We're gonna cover all the fights that are still on. And Steven, what do you think about this card in general? Just like as a fan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, overall, like it's pretty sweet, man. Like, we've had some of those fights that we've really been wanting, like Aspinall Jones, some of those big fights that fell through, getting Hamza versus DDP. It's going to be one of the best fights overall this year. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, there's some other really good sleeper fights on the card. There's some name value for sure too. But yeah, there's a couple of sleepers in there for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And best card of the year is a sentiment I can echo. I mean, as far as like name value anyway, as far as content creation, it makes me nervous because I got to put my picks out there for people. So there's a couple of fights on this card that I do not feel super confident about. But that's okay. It's going to be a fun card nonetheless. Let's see. Zach asks if Hamza is the biggest superstar in the UFC. I don't know. He's definitely in the top 5, I would say. I don't know if he's the biggest, but he's up there. There's guys like Elliott that are massive stars. Alex Pereira was till he lost the title. I think that hurt him a little. He's still a pretty big star, but I mean, Islam's a huge star over in his neck of the woods. You know what I mean? So there's some huge stars, but yeah, I would say Hamzat's in the top 5 for sure. Everything Hoops, what's up? You know what? You're good as well. I'm glad you're here, my friend. I'm so glad you're here. Dixon, as always, is in the chat. The guy with the caterpillar eyebrows. You just missed it, Dixon. He's Couch he's a maybe tonight. I think he leaves for his honeymoon like tomorrow. Just got married on Sunday. He did. So he's a maybe to show up. We can't be sure. We're waiting on Monk. Monk will be here in a couple of minutes. Like I was saying, he just got off work. So let's see. DDP had some real heel heat. Yeah, he doesn't mind being the villain. And that's kind of like, that's cool about DDP. He can be either. He could be the villain. He could be the hero. He could be, it doesn't matter. And I think that helps him fit in no matter what scenario he's in. Because like, he was the favorite, like, and I don't mean favorite like betting wise. I mean favorite as in like the fans wanted him to win when he fought Adesanya, at least for the most part. But depending on like when he's fighting guys like Hamza or Strickland, for example, both of them have a really hardcore fan base, and then he's like the enemy of that. But also the people that also hate those guys will love him. So he's really good at fitting that role. Steven, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm with you. Like, yeah, DDP, making Strickland and Izzy get upset at the press conference. Like, yeah, a lot of people were down on him, early in his career, but I think he's definitely won a lot of people over, especially after beating Strickland twice. Strickland had a huge fan base at that time, still does, but and yeah, being Izzy one of the legends of the middleweight division. Yeah, no, definitely he's a big name now. Absolutely.
Everything Hoops says I should do more live shows. This is my 3rd live show this week already, so this is already too many. But and if you're not getting the notification, even though you have the notification bell on, I don't know what's up with that. That seems very strange. Make sure to double check that that's on, because that would be the only the only thing that would be holding you back, I would say. And Mind Freak jumps in. Here we go. So no holding hands while watching 319. You didn't come to Omaha, my friend. But no, probably not anyway. That my hands would get sweaty. That'd be not good. Plus, I got to take notes. So unfortunately, I had to turn you down. But I do appreciate the enthusiasm for it. But anyway. Oh, and also for Mind Freak from across the room, my wife said she'd fight you over it. So so anyway. So we've got, like I said, we got 13 fights on this card. We can go ahead and just start chatting about the, I guess the only Ultimate Fighter fight on this card now. And then when Monk gets in, we'll catch up on his opinions on it. But we have Olivi, Adiris, I think is how you pronounce it. They just called him Olivi on the show the whole time. He's taking on Joseph Morales, who is a former UFC fighter, left the promotion after only 2 losses, which is kind of wild. But now he's back, well, could be back depending on how this fight goes. I'll go ahead and just let you kick it off, and then we'll go from there. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Who do you have, and kind of how you think that happens?
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely. I think Adiris has got this one. Like, I watched, every episode of The Ultimate Fighter. I really thought Morales lost his last fight. I thought Imanol should have won it. I thought Morales clearly won the first. The second I gave to Imanol, and the third I also gave to Imanol. At the end of that second, Imanol looked a little bit tired, and Morales landed a few good shots, which I think is kind of what swung some of the judges to give it to him. But yeah, no, I think that Aridis, he's really explosive. He's got that pressure style with the high guard. He's a good striker. Sometimes he overextends the straight, which could get him caught with a counter shot. So he's got to be careful with that. But he can go for takedowns, cage grappling. Yeah, and Aridis, he's not the most technical fighter, but he makes it work. Like what he does, like it works for him. And Morales, he's got some decent power on the feet, but he's pretty basic in his striking, like nothing out of the ordinary. You're not going to see too much spinning attacks from him. Pretty basic. Yeah, I just think Aridis is going to be more athletic here with a more diverse attack, and I could see him getting it done by decision. Yeah, Morales does have that UFC experience, as you mentioned, but I don't think that's going to be enough for him here. He definitely has some decent fight IQ, hence the experience, but I just think he's going up against a better athlete here, and I think that could be the difference.
Excellent. I love to hear it. And also, our third panel guest has arrived. We've got Monk joining the chat here. Monk, how you doing, my friend?
Very good, thank you. Sorry, my apologies for being tardy, but I did not want to miss it, so I appreciate you having me on, even though I'm a few minutes late. So I hope you guys are doing well.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. We figured we would get things rolling and not get too far into the card. So we've actually just started, and Steven gave his take on the first fight, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and jump on this next, and then Monk, I'll have you put a nice tidy little bow on this first fight. So for me, Olivi and Morales is a really good fight for a couple of reasons. One, because Olivi hasn't obviously faced anyone at the UFC level. So he still has those jitters to get through, which is always a problem for new guys. But something that's interesting is Morales has already been here before. And it does make me wonder if the jitters will come back because it's been, a handful of years, or if he's going to be like, okay, I'm home again. I got this. Like, this is, because if so, he's a very, very big underdog. And I do think Morales is very good. I know a lot of people said that it was a robbery in that fight with Imanol. I wouldn't say it was a robbery. It was a close fight. I could have seen it going either way. And I remember that being the thought I had while watching the show live, is that I'm not quite sure. Like, I felt like it was one apiece going into the third, and the third round was close enough that I could see it going either way. So I didn't feel like it was a robbery. Though it was just a close fight that Morales got the win. I do think for me, this is a dog or pass spot as far as a bet, but I do think Olivi probably wins more often than not. So I'm probably going to pass. But if that line keeps growing, I may jump on the Morales side. I don't know which way it's moving. I just saw the line drop just a little bit ago. But that's kind of where I'm at. So that's two of us for Olivi. Monk, what are your thoughts on the only Ultimate Fighter finale we have on this card now?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just now seeing Tapology. I've been at work all day. I see we had a fight taken off, the King Green fight, CDF. I heard things about Cannonier. Is that fight still on?
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, it might have just been hearsay, so I don't see anything about
Okay.
that. But yeah, the other fight I'll have to look into. But this one, I did a little bit of tape on Olivi. And the guy kind of just looks like a beast. I mean, obviously he's undefeated, Kazakhstani fighter, so we got a good history of those guys in the UFC as of late. This dude is catching all kinds of kicks. He's landing shots while he's got the leg. He's taking you down. He's just seemingly, kind of just getting it done inside the distance pretty frequently. I mean, I know he has at least 4 decisions here, but getting things done. And if you guys don't know much about me, I kind of, I love fights, got my own stuff, but I kind of focus on DraftKings a little bit, but I'll try to relate that to actual overall fighting. I just like Adiris here. Morales, like you said, he has been around, lost to Figgy. There's no shame in that. Loses to Eric Shelton, but he hasn't fought in the UFC since 2018. He has been battling back and gets his spot, which is good to see. But I'm going to have to go with Adiris. And to answer Dixon's question, I assume for DraftKings' salary, he'll probably be more expensive than Chase Hooper. He'll likely, I don't know the line on this one, actually. I haven't seen it. But I would assume he'll be the most expensive fighter on the card. You're going to play him, get that early first round upside here. That said, Joseph Morales has only been finished once in the UFC. So I know he only had a couple fights, but that's also the only time he's ever been finished in his career. Yeah, 9,400. So I think there's you got to play a little bit of both sides. You got to, if the line's wide enough, you're probably going to take a stab on Morales. But honestly, I think Olivi's going to show off here and probably look to get it done early.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty accurate assessment. But like you were saying, dude's only been finished once, so it'll kind of come down to whether or not he can cover that salary as far as like from a DraftKings perspective. Because I mean, if it goes to decision, that kind of favors grapplers as far as like DraftKings points from my understanding. And like, I don't know that Olivi's going to have a ton of success just trying to out grapple a guy like Morales. So I feel like he needs a finish to really cover a huge price tag. But then again, I'm not like a DraftKings expert, play it weekly, but I'm not like the expert by any means. But from what I've seen, that seems to be accurate. What do you think, Monk? Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, mostly if it's a striking battle and it goes past round 1, round 2, and there's no knockdowns, you're not going to pay off a high tier salary ever for the most part. And I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the card when I talk about my favorite fighter to hate on DraftKings and MVP. But
yes,
yeah, you're going to need takedowns. You're going to need, just constant pressure. That said, if he does get it, manage at least one takedown, because Morales gave up 7 of 10 to Shelton, 2 of 2 to Figgy, and 1 of 1 to Sanchez. This dude almost has a negative takedown defense for the most part. If he gives up even one or gets on the ground, Adiris could just ground and pound. Even non-significant strikes count a lot if you're landing those rabbit punches with no defense. So I kind of like the play a little bit, but I think you definitely have to have some Morales. He's been here before. He's faced Figgy, like I said. Eric Shelton's not the biggest name. A lot of newcomers probably have never even heard that name, but went to split decision with him, and he's got the experience overall.
Heck yeah, brother. I agree. I think all of that's kind of how I see it as well. Like the experience versus like, this young up and coming hot prospect. We got Nate Brown jumping in the chat, channel member, my guy, Nate Brown, been a member for 16 months in total. And that is fantastic. That's something we like to see. Unfortunately on StreamYard, the little custom emojis don't show up. So that's supposed to be a root beer bottle, because we're always cracking root beers around here. But we can move on to the next fight on the card. Now, this is one that I actually feel pretty good about. So I'll kick this one off and we'll go in the whole circle. We have Karine Silva versus Dione Barbosa. And the reason I like this one a lot is because, well, two reasons. One, there's a lot of, a lot of elements going on here. We got a short notice matchup for Barbosa. She's stepping in on short notice. JJ Aldrich was originally the opponent for Silva. JJ Aldrich pulls out. Dione Barbosa gets the call and they go, yo, this girl that you already beat a few years back needs an opponent. You want to come in and beat her again, kind of thing. And she says, heck yeah, I do. And she jumps right in. So the confidence is there, but yet she's a decent size underdog. I don't understand where the market's getting that. I mean, I figured the market would be down on Karine Silva a little bit because Karine Silva, big favorite against Vivi, didn't get it done. And then now she's fighting this other girl who A, already beat her, and B, sure, she had that loss to Miranda Maverick, but that was a competitive fight. And I feel like Mavericks looked nothing but fantastic as of late. So For me, I think this is a Barbosa spot. I like Deonna Barbosa quite a bit here, as far as just a pick, but also if you're playing, if you're betting or even playing DFS, I feel like the underdog spot here. She can get a lot of top time. She's a solid grappler. Her top control is great. She's got slick arm bars. On the feet, she can land some darn good shots. She's got a quick one too. There's a lot to like about Barbosa, and I like her as the underdog here, and so does the other Nate. We got Nate's back to back. That's what you like to see. We got Nate Brown, and we got Nate with no last name. That's what's up. We'll just keep going in circles from here on. So, Steven, what do you think on this one? Who do you have?
Yeah, like a lot of what you're saying, like I definitely agree with. Like, I don't love that Barbosa's coming in on short notice. Like, I really don't. But like, I was on her by sub in her last fight. She got it done early. She's got good grappling and top control. And I think, she's definitely a live dog. Like, I kind of think in this fight, like, whoever ends up on top is going to win the fight. So, like, if Barbosa keeps getting put on her back, that's going to be bad for her. But if she's the one getting takedowns, initiating the grappling, I think she could have a nice path to the win here. I do give the edge to Silva on the feet. She throws hard. She's pretty physical too. I think Barbosa is going to try to work that jab, and then Silva's going to try to come over top with those power shots. I think those grappling exchanges are really going to tell the story of this fight. Whoever is going to be able to end up landing those takedowns and get on top is going to win the fight. So, I definitely don't trust Silva here at this line, especially both their cardio is questionable as well, in my opinion. So, I think it's a dogger pass here. I think Barbosa could get it done.
There you go. I love to hear it. Monk, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I probably agree. I think I'm picking Silva, but I think all the DraftKings and betting upside is clearly on Barbosa here. Like you said, they've already fought. That doesn't mean a ton when it's been like 10, 12 fights in between, if it's even been that many. I know it's been a few, but I like Silva a little bit more. But as far as the betting and DraftKings side of things, I don't want to spend 8,800 on her, and I don't really feel like she is worth the minus 200 line. I mean, she could be in retrospect, but Barbosa, the only thing that I'm wondering about is Barbosa has shown pretty seriously poor takedown defense. The only time she's attempted takedowns in all of her fights, but it's one or two outside of that carrot cake fight, which she attempted 11, and that's for good reason. Carrot cake was coming off of landing like 184 strikes against Carly Judy's, probably one of the highest striking affairs overall in the weight class. So at least in recent memory for sure. So no wonder she took her, attempted 11 takedowns there. Ernesto only attempted one, and they ended up with about the same amount of control time. So, it's it's not a bad thing when you lose to Vivi Araujo. Like, she's a tough out. Right. She beats De Silva, Moroz, Ketlin. I mean, she's beating all the people she's supposed to beat. She's got 3 straight subs, and then the decision over De Silva. She does land takedowns. She shot 13 in the past 2 fights. That is by far more than she's ever landed or shot even in her entire career before that in the UFC. So I know Barbosa looked great against Belbita, but not exactly a tough opponent. The one that she did look decent against, I mean, Miranda Maverick, there was no striking there, but there's never striking in Maverick fights. You're either on your back or you're, trying to reverse position, et cetera, et cetera. She got out-controlled 8-1. I'm not too worried about that. That's what's going to happen against Maverick. So it is going to be interesting to see Barbosa's game plan. I think she could put together a decent game plan, but Silva, she's just hard to pin down, man. It's like 3.5 strikes, 1 strike a minute, 6 strikes a minute, 3 strikes. So it's just up and down, a roller coaster. And lately, I said the only thing that's been consistent is the control time and the takedown. So if Barbosa can stuff takedowns, I think she has a great shot at looking like a much, narrower underdog in this one. So I'm going to pick Silva by decision, but I'm not comfortable really betting it or playing too much of it in DraftKings. And Barbosa at that price, I mean, it's probably worth a stab for sure. Like you guys said, she already has a win over, and that whether it's been 1 fight ago or 12 fights ago, like I said, that's still in both of their heads. So yeah, you're probably right about that. I'm probably picking Silva, but I lean Barbosa for making actual money.
Yeah, there's definitely something to the confidence of having already beat someone, even though it doesn't always play out the same. And in fact, most of the time it doesn't. Just having that like in your head, like I've already beaten this person once, like I obviously can do it. So that helps. Whereas the other person has the thought of, well, I already fought this person once and it didn't go my way. So like, it's there. No matter how confident you are, that there's that bit of doubt if you've already lost to this person, or, even if you're short notice or whatever, you have that little like sliver of, well, I did already beat him. So there is that, and confidence is important in a fight for sure. But we can move on to a fight that I think is going to be absolute fireworks. We have Nursultan Ruseabo, and he's taken on Bryan Battle, and two guys who've moved weight classes many a time. But both of these guys have looked great in the UFC in their run thus far. Real quick, I forgot to say hello to Damari. What's up? He's happy to see Monk, and we are also happy to see Monk. Steven, why don't you kick off this fight between Ruseabo and Battle? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it should be a good one. For me here, I'm leaning towards Ruseabo. Like, I think he's gonna be able to tag Battle on the feet. Battle is probably gonna look to like grapple here or a cage push like he did to Randy Brown in their fight. But I'm not so sure that's gonna work all that well here. Like, they're in the bigger cage. Ruseabo's training at a good gym with some good training partners, and he's improvising or improving his game and his process. I think Ruseabo could catch him with a straight right or an uppercut potentially, and I think you could actually get him out of there. So I think there's some nice value on Ruseabo here, and I don't think it'd be a bad dog at all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, at dog money, yeah, it's not too bad. Guys only lost once in the UFC, and that was to Buckley. Not a bad look. Monk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. This is definitely a close fight, in my opinion. Maybe even closer. At last I've seen, it was 170, but I haven't updated my personal odds since Tuesday. So that might be a little narrower. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the one that's interesting is the minus 155 ITD line, and I get it because both guys, or neither guy, I should say, has good defense whatsoever. Like, Ruseabo gets outstruck. He's got a striking defense of less than 50%, less than 49%. 33% takedown defense. I know that's a lot of probably one guy for the most part. I think it was Buckley completely exploited that, but that's where Buckley shines, is he is able to adjust game plans fight to fight, almost like not many people we've seen recently. So I do credit him for that. But Ruzi also gets out controlled like 70-30. There's a lot of negatives here for Ruseabo, and the only time he performs well as far as like DraftKings or like easily making, smashing your bets on him is when he finishes in the first round, which he, or early second, I guess we'll even say, against Mechanico. I think everyone is down on him a little bit because Stoltzfus, they see Dustin Stoltzfus' name and they're like, this guy sucks, and Ruzi almost lost to him. Well, I don't think he sucks. Like, he definitely sucks in some fights, that's for sure. But in some fights, he kind of turns it on and does exactly what he was supposed to do. 2 of 5 takedowns there, 5 minutes of control time. There was no striking. And that's kind of where I'm leaning Battle a little bit. Like, in an extended fight, if Battle gets out of the first round, his volume and the finishing upside could take over. I don't know that Ruseabo would finish Battle after like the 7-minute mark, which would still cash your bets for sure. But as far as, I mean, even in DraftKings, he's the underdog at 7,600. He could score decently. I like this fight overall, but I'm not sure if it goes past the 7 or 8 minute mark. We might see a decision here, and I don't really know what's going to happen. Like, Ruseabo's confusing. The dude, if you look at his, Tapology, he's got 33 finishes in 36 fights. Phenomenal. 20 of them are submissions, yet this guy has attempted next to 0 takedowns in the UFC. I don't even think he's attempted one single submission, and he gets out-controlled in almost every fight. I'm not going to say every fight, but it's pretty close. So it could be interesting if he decides to wrestle, which he probably should against Bryan Battle, who has a terrible takedown defense as well at 54%. He's going to have, increase his odds tremendously to win this fight. So I see this a little bit more narrow than the line might suggest. It might have narrowed since Tuesday, but even the minus 155 GTD, which it was again on Tuesday, I kind of like ITD. I kind of like the GTD a little bit more here, but I could easily see a finish. Probably agree with Steven here. Finish by Ruseabo more than Battle. I just think Ruseabo's pretty durable, it seems like. I mean, there were moments in that Stoltzfus fight where he was kind of getting pieced up and taken down, and he looked exhausted, but he hung in and ended up grinding out the win. So more power to him. I'm going to pick Battle, but again, kind of like the last fight, I think the underdog is where the value sits.
Yeah, so it's interesting because so first off, I know my guy Nate Brown is the biggest Bryan Battle fan that I've ever met. So it makes sense that he's on Battle. I knew that was coming in ahead of time. For me, we got some more Battle love. That's what's up. I think Battle is undervalued here at -170. I think he gets this done at a very high clip. I think Ruseabo is going to maybe land some shots early, and people are going to say, "Oh, look at this," but I don't think he has an answer for Battle. Battle's going to he's going to be able to take the shots. He's going to have way more output, and I do believe that he's going to be the one coming forward because Ruseabo has shown that he is willing to back up. And I think if Battle's coming forward, throwing more volume, and even if both guys are landing at a pretty decent clip, the guy coming forward and throwing more is going to be the one that gets the nod. I think he's going to have a lot of upside as far as topside grappling. You mentioned the submissions for Ruseabo, and a lot of those on his regional scene are like Kimuras and stuff, which a lot of them come from like grabbing it from the bottom, like in guard and stuff. So, I mean, getting a submission off your back isn't something that happens often in the UFC. That's just regional scene for sure. But like UFC, most guys are pretty good at fighting off submissions when they're on top. It happens some, but especially not Kimuras. You don't see that very often. We saw one the other day, I guess. But yeah, it's just not super, what's the word? It's not super likely, I guess. But for me, I think Battle puts a beating on him. I think he puts up a lot of volume, and I think he gets some control time up against the cage, working his dirty boxing in there because that's something he's been using a lot more lately. And I think that's something he can use to negate the height of Ruseabo a little bit too. So I feel pretty good about Battle. I feel he's one of my more confident picks on the card, especially at the line. And Tasteful Thickness is quite the name. We'll get to the DDP fight in a bit, but had to point out that name for a moment. But yeah, so it sounds like we got 2 for Battle and 1 for Ruseabo, but that's that's a close fight for a reason. We will move on to another close fight, at least in my opinion. Edson Barbosa and Drakkar Klose, and I will say that this is a close fight. Monk, why don't you kick this one off?
Love it. Yeah, it's definitely a close fight. I'm going to pick Barbosa here. And I mean, he seems like he should be like 20 years older than Drakkar Klose, but really they're within 2 years of each other, which is kind of interesting. Barbosa, obviously, we know what he's going to do. He's got the striking. He's got the some of the best kicks, not just leg kicks, but overall kicks in the entire UFC. That said, his defense is super suspect, especially on the feet. He gets outstruck by at least half a strike a minute. I mean, Lerone Murphy, who is undefeated. I mean, that was I was going to say close fight, but it really kind of wasn't. He got doubled up on striking, taken down 4 of 6 times, controlled for 5 minutes, just a complete domination for the most part. But in the Yusuf fight right before that, he looked phenomenal over 25 minutes, 3 or 4 takedowns, had the control time. And there was a ton of strikes. I mean, he landed 6.5, but he ate 7. He ate 7+ against Quarantillo. He is kind of getting, not even kind of, he's getting outstruck in every fight since that scary ass Shane Burgo KO that he won in the 3rd round or something. Klose loses to Alvarez, no shame in that. Loses to Benny, no shame in his losses, but the wins are not great. Like your best win is probably Jenkins or Selecki in recent memory. That's not fantastic. Well, I guess Joaquim Silva is probably a little bit better. Beating Rafa Garcia is definitely goes on my list as a decent win for sure. But that Silva one, it looks like on paper could definitely be argued a little bit. It's the takedowns, man. When he starts getting pieced up, he throws these panic takedowns, and he really is not landing a ton. Like 2 of 10 against Rafa, 0 for 7 against Garcia. Like a lot of that has to do with their defense itself. But overall, I mean, speaking of defense, Klose has some decent defense in pretty much every category. He's out-controlling his opponents. He's not getting outstruck like Barbosa is. He's outstriking them about by 0.8 strikes a minute. And the offense looks decent. I mean, he hits with very good accuracy, 11% better than Barbosa. For some reason, I just like Barbosa here. I like how he varies his standing attacks. And Klose, I mean, 4.3 strikes a minute does seem kind of, not a lot, but over the mid, over the average for me. But Barbosa's handled that before. He's gone up against some tough guys, some guys that throw a ton of strikes. He's come out on both sides of it. And if Klose isn't going to wrestle a ton, which the stats say that, like I said, he only kind of does that in certain fights, then I think, the less he wrestles, the more chance Barbosa gets to win, in my opinion. So I'm picking Barbosa in a very close fight. I'm probably not expecting a finish here. I mean, Klose has been KO'd twice, once by Benny, and then obviously by Joel Alvarez. But Barbosa's last finish loss was Giga, and then Justin Gaethje before that. So Klose, not really a humongous finisher. He's only got 2 of them. in his 9 wins. So I like Barbosa by decision. But like you said, it could be a close fight for these guys.
Yeah, and it is definitely that whenever Drakkar Klose gets in there, it is a close fight one way or another. Derek Izzy in the chat is a channel member, and that is something that we love to see around here. I always appreciate the channel members. He says he's going to watch this one as a fan with a small bet on Klose. Yeah, I get that. For me, I think it's going to be a super boring fight because what I think happens, I think we see Drakkar Klose realize that if he stands and trades with a guy like Edson Barbosa, he's probably going to sleep. And because of that, I think he's going to cage push him the whole time. I think he's going to cage push him for 3 rounds. And, we'll see like a short burst of strikes, at the beginning of a round. And then I think Klose is just like, all right, push him against the cage and hold him on for dear life. And I think that Klose is going to win a boring decision with not a lot going on, which will be fine if you're on the underdog as far as like money goes, because you'll be like, let's go, keep holding him, But as far as fans go, they're gonna be quite upset. And yes, Dixon, you are a member too. That's true. He actually was just gifted one. Was that last night or the night before? I don't remember. It was one of the days recently. So appreciate you, Dixon. Hopefully you stick around after the free month comes up. But there you go. Huge members. That's right. Huge. But we're gonna say close for me. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, like I kind of agree with like what both you guys are saying. Like I'm picking Barbosa, but like I don't know if I can lay the chalk on him here. Like I don't know if I can click the button. Like if this was prime Barbosa, this is not a close fight. This is not a competitive fight whatsoever. But at this stage, it's harder to say, right? Yeah, Barbosa's getting up there, also moved up a weight class. So that's a bit of a red flag for me. Like, is that because he can't cut the weight? Is that because of injuries? Could be a few different things there. Yeah, I think Klose definitely, if he's smart, is gonna, cage push, grapple, make this a dirty, nasty fight. Because, like you guys were saying, if he stands there and trades at range with Barbosa, he's going to sleep. So I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gonna look to wrestle and sort of dirty it up, stink it up. So yeah, as far as a pick, I'll take Barbosa. But if I had to bet on this fight, I would take Klose and that he's gonna, dirty this up here.
That's the thing. We've got a lot of fights on here that are just kind of dog or pass, but like, it's like, do you take a shot on every dog that you think is dog or pass? I mean, if so, that could get dicey real quick. Yeah. We got a lot of love for Monk in the chat. We love to see it. That's good. First time guest.
Let's go.
That's right. So lots of love. We there we go. Matua. There we go. Well. I don't know if I've seen that name in the chat before. That's a new one. Let's go. So another one we're split on that. Oh, Couch just sent me something. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, congrats to Couch, by the way. Congrats.
That's right? I mean, everybody in the chat, throw some stuff out there saying congrats to Couch, because he will probably not watch this, but if he does, sounds like he's out with his family right now, or somebody's family, his or his wife's. I guess they're both family now. So, so I don't think he'll make it. But anyway, we can move on. We've all decided that was a close fight. Two people for Barbosa, one for Klose. But there is the interesting thing having 2 Barbosas on the card that does open up for a gimmicked parlay of the Barbosa parlay. Always an interesting thought. We can move on to, my main event. Okay, and this is great because let's see. I believe I'm kicking this one off. Yeah, so here we go. To me, this is my main event because I am way overexposed to the Chase Hooper side. We have Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez, and I do not at all understand why Chase Hooper is only like a minus 305 favorite. I think the line should be like minus 700. I think he just absolutely murders this man. Maybe not murder, that'd be a little vulgar. Like, can't have that in the UFC, but close to it, like as close as you can get to an absolute slaughter. I just don't see a path for Hernandez here. What's he going to do? Knock out Hooper in the first round? That's his best path. And Hooper can take a punch. I mean, this isn't Steve Garcia he's going against, right? Hernandez can hit, but like he's going to war with a lot of guys that he should be getting out of there, and he's not. I think Hooper absolutely just puts it on him. And there we go. What's up, Drunken Boxing? Good to see you. Glad you're with me. And saying Hooper is not athletic, I feel like he's getting there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's really coming into his own now. So I don't know. I think he's becoming more athletic. He's looking more athletic. So that's a thing. But yeah, I think Hooper's got this one. He could win it anyway. Submission, KO, decision. I feel like the longer the fight goes on, the more it favors him. His output is insane. I understand distance striking isn't like super high because a lot of times it's on the ground. But if you look at his ground and pound numbers, the dude is just constantly smashing people's faces. So I'm on Hooper. I am far overexposed to the Hooper line. So if he loses, I lost very bad on the night. Steven, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I'm with you on Hooper here. And about like the line, like I think it's just like this because in a lot of Hooper's like past fights, he's been fighting Jim Miller and some older guys closer to the end of their careers, whereas Hernandez is still like somewhat in his prime, right? But no, I definitely think Hooper's gonna win here. His striking is improving, and he's doing a lot better up at lightweight now. So he's got that lighter man skill. Hernandez is inconsistent and has broken in the past. I could definitely see Hernandez trying to get up from a takedown, gives up his back. Hooper takes it, gets the rear naked choke in. So I could definitely see a late submission here for Chase.
There you go. Late submission for Chase is the prediction. Monk, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm big on Chase Hooper. Before Olivi got, I don't even know if he's got a salary yet, but I assume he's going to be higher than Chase Hooper. But before that, Hooper was the most expensive, and I was still going to be playing a ton of him. And it is weird. You said it was minus 305. I have it as 335 as of 2 days ago, so it's narrowing. Money's clearly coming in on the Hernandez side, and I guess I get it because Chase Hooper has, terrible defense for the most part, like overall in his career. I know he's 5-0 at lightweight, and I take like basically 9 to 12 offensive and defensive categories, like, and split them up, lots of striking, different takedowns and stuff, and I rate them against every other person that's been in the UFC. And Chase Hooper has he's in the 19th percentile of significant striking defense. That is not good whatsoever. His striking defense is less than 39%, but his offense is very good. Like, all of his numbers are above average. Even that distance striking offense you mentioned, that is getting better and better with every fight. And he's probably the most consistent fighter round to round as far as striking goes on the card. He lands 4.5 in the first, 4.6 in the second, and 4.4 in the third round. And the dude is like a sponge, man. Like I mentioned, Joaquin Buckley's able to change up his game plan fight to fight. Chase Hooper is like, his nickname is the Dream, but it could be the coach's dream because he just absorbs everything that is taught to him, and he actually uses it in fights and doesn't just throw it out the window after he gets rocked once or twice. So I really do like the improvements I'm seeing. And the other thing I mentioned about round to round, Hernandez is kind of the opposite. Like, he'll land 4.8, 4.2, and 3.9. So the strikes start to go down just a little bit. But as he gets hit more and more, especially if he gets popped, his takedowns and his control time go up in every single round. And I don't know if that's a product of he's kind of panic wrestling. He doesn't want to get hit as much, so he lands takedowns. That strategy is not going to work against Chase Hooper at all. You don't want to be taking him down. Why would you want to go to the ground with him? Like you said, his path is probably an early KO. I just really like Chase Hooper here. I mean, he's beating better and better and better opponents. I don't really rate Hernandez, especially his last 2 wins, very highly whatsoever.
I thought he lost to Holloway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, on paper it was super close. He lands 4 of 5 takedowns because he was getting hit with 5 strikes a minute. So that's kind of what it is. And you're not going to control Chase Hooper for 6 of 15 minutes like he did with Kurt Holloway. So I think that's just going to play into Hooper's hands. Last thing I'll say, the sub is plus 200. The fighter KO as of couple days ago is Chase Hooper at plus 525. So we could see an interesting little ground and pound finish before he even locks the sub in. So I kind of like that angle. And Hernandez has only been subbed once in the UFC, has been knocked out 3 times out of his 7 losses. So over half of his losses in the UFC are finishes. So I'm definitely playing some Chase Hooper. And yeah, I agree with you guys. I like him to get the win here.
Yeah, and something that's interesting about like the TKO, people are like, oh, but Chase usually subs people. Any other ref would have probably called it a TKO against Vyacheslav Borchev.
Oh, yeah.
Because, my goodness, like the fact that they finally called the sub was like a mercy stoppage, I imagine, because that man was beaten 6 ways from Sunday and like it was bad. So So yeah, I mean, it's I feel like Hooper can get it done in either way. And if you're getting over plus 500 in the KO, yeah, throw a couple bucks on that. That's not a little bad side piece, buy yourself some lunch for Monday or something. But yeah, so we're all on Hooper. I love to hear that. That is fantastic news considering I have way too much money on him. Next, we can move on to a fight that's been quite interesting because I hear a lot of people on the underdog. We have Jessica Andrade as an underdog against Lupita Godinez. And let's see, I kicked off the last one, so that means it is Steven. It is your turn. Who do you have, Andrade or Godinez?
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people on Andrade. I've been hearing that a lot. But, she hasn't looked the best as of late. She's also been fighting up a weight class, so that's something to consider here. But, yeah, she's a former champion. She definitely hits hard, no doubt about that. She carries her power late too, which is something you like to see. But I like Loopy here, man. Like, I get there's some concern with her fight IQ. Like, I get it, but I think she's been improving in that area, and she's entering her prime, whereas Andrade's on the decline. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I think with Loopy's boxing, sticking that 1-2 out there, and the ability to mix in takedowns, I think she could get this done by decision. So I'll take Loopy here, but definitely a close fight for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Monk, what do you think? Do you echo that sentiment, or are you on the other side?
No, I do. I'm surprised to hear about so much love for Andrade. I actually have always liked Andrade. I mean, if you don't like watching her fight, I mean, you're probably watching the wrong sport. It's generally exciting whether she's getting finished or beaten. She's faced 29 opponents in the UFC, I think across all three women's weight classes. I do believe. So she's pretty much fought everyone. So, I mean, losing to Jasmine, Natalia Silva, Suarez, Yonex, Blanchfield, there's no shame. And I mean, that's a lot of losses, but those are all like pretty close to the top-ish or getting to the top of the division. And, she's fought everyone, so she's going to have losses to people like that. Godinez losing to Dern and Jandiroba at strawweight. But she's looked good. And like you said, it's I don't know if it's a fight IQ thing. I don't know what to call it because sometimes Loopy's attempting, 10 takedowns, 12 takedowns, 8 takedowns. Then we roster her, and if she's not fighting Elise Reed, all of a sudden it's 0 or 1 against Ricci, 0 against Jandiroba, obviously for obvious reasons. But
that makes sense.
2 of 3 against Dern, like 5 of 11 against Pilastri. That was a good comeback as far as takedowns go, but we never know what she's going to do or how she's going to fight. That said, her striking's definitely gets better and better every round. 3.3 in the first, 4.4, and then 5.2 in the third round. She is, landing takedowns in every round, on average. Control time is almost 2 minutes, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And Jessica Andrade has looked poor, especially lately in those positions. Her defense, those categories I was talking about, the only good ones are takedown defense and control. The striking is dog shit. Like body striking, leg striking, clinch. Even her overall significant striking is only in the 40th percentile. That said, her offense is still kicking 6.4 strikes a minute, but she eats 5.5. So if Loopy can avoid the big shots from Andrade and just keep control of this fight, maybe get a trip takedown, maybe hold her against the cage a little bit and just slow down Jessica Andrade's overall tempo, I think she's got a great chance at a decision win here, and that's what I'd be looking for.
Decision where I was thinking too. And actually, I'm also on Godinez, which is wild that all three of us are, because I've heard so many people saying Andrade is like their favorite dog. And I get that when the line was like, what was it, like last week or something, or 2 weeks ago or something like that, where it was like +2 something, upper +200s, mid +200s. Sure, that makes total sense. But when you're getting closer, I think Loopy can push her against the cage. I think she can secure takedowns when she needs to. And I know that against the cage, that's actually where she gets her best takedowns. When she backs people up, she'll come in and she'll throw these just like 1-2 reset, 1-2 reset, 1-2 reset, and just keep inching her way forward and getting her opponent up against the cage. And that's where she can work the takedowns in. And I think against Andrade, that's how she's going to want to do this, because if she starts letting Andrade come forward, that's a bad night. So for me, I'm with Loopy here. I can't bet her in this spot because I also know that she could just get knocked dead at any moment. But definitely, from a DraftKings perspective, the girl has she's gonna get under-owned. So you might as well consider her as a decent play in a lot of your tournament lineups, because people are gonna overlook that. They're gonna say, "Oh, Loopy fights stupid," and they're gonna love the dog money on Andrade. So at least that's from what I'm thinking. So that's where I'll have the exposure to Godinez. Probably won't bet her money line or anything, But I do think she can win a decision here, and that is surprising to me that we're all on Godinez. So that's wild.
Super quick last thing.
Yeah,
That's you said it. Everyone overlooks women's fights all the time, whether it's betting, draft, they constantly overlook. And you shouldn't do that here. While Lupi's never been finished, Andrade has been finished in 9 of her 12 UFC losses.
Yeah, and that's 9 of 12 losses means there's a decent chance. Now, like I think it's going to decision, but I also won't be surprised if there's a finish on either side. So DDP being the best dog on the card, it's a wild statement, but it's also not one I can argue. So like, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But there's a lot of really good dogs on this card, so it's really hard for me to say who's the best. But that is definitely one that, a defending champion at +2 something. I get that. Let's see. We are moving right along to Gerald Mirshart and Michael Oleksiejczuk. I always screw up the last name on that one because Polish names are very hard for me. Oleksiejczuk, I think is how you say that. I believe Monk is kicking this one off. What do you think, Monk?
Yeah, this is a UFC spelling bee entrance, like grand finale fight right here. So for sure, you just got to play this one in DraftKings. Like this is basically an all-in fight. You got to root for violence. I believe it was somehow on Tuesday. This was only -350 ITD. It's got to be wider than that. That's insane if it's not. I'm going to maybe stupidly, but I'm going to pick Mikhail Oleksiejczuk here to get the KO on Mirshart, probably in the first round. He has been KO'd 4 times, all early, I do believe. Yeah, 3 in the first round. Looks well. That's just finishes. I don't know how many exactly are in the first round, but it's been a few. He might just he might get Joe Pyford again here for all intents and purposes. That said, it would not be a Gerald Mirshart fight week if you did not have a sprinkle on the round 3 submission, even a round 2 submission, because that's what this dude does. He gets beat up pretty good, but he's pretty durable. And if you make one mistake, and Michael Oleksiejczuk, 6 submission losses, I believe, 5 or 6 in 7 UFC. That's 7 UFC losses, man. So it's who's going to get knocked out, or is he going to get subbed? Hopefully working with the fighting nerds a little bit. Obviously, you don't get learn takedown defense overnight, but hopefully that's the only thing he's been doing, and when learning what to do when Gerald's legs go over the back of his neck. So hopefully he's just been drilling that, and that's it, because he doesn't really need to have much offense in this camp. He knows what he has to do. He can already do it, and he's good at it. That's how he wins almost all of his fights, is by round 1 KO. Super quick. You get the DraftKings bonus as well. You win your money on your bet super early, and you don't have to sweat it out. But with Mirshart, if he's not knocked dead, you're going to be sweating it out, because he can pull that off at any time. We've seen it countless times in the past. So just play this fight. I'm siding with the favorite here, but I'm kind of rooting for Mirshart to get it done via ridiculous submission.
Hey, I'd love to hear that. Okay, so for me, first, somebody in the chat, if you want some bonus points, some magical bonus points that don't actually do anything, calculate what Gerald Mirshart and Michael Oleksiejczuk would be in Scrabble scores. I think that'd be funny. But for the fight itself, something I want to point out is that, I guess Monk touched on it, is like how often Oleksiejczuk has been subbed and how often Gerald Mirshart is doing the subbing of people. That alone is enough to get me to go to the GM3 side. And something I want to point out now. Okay, so this isn't a sponsored video. Yes, CloudBet is a sponsor of mine. This isn't the sponsored video, so they're not paying me to say this. The submission line earlier today that I saw on CloudBet is +478 for submission for GM3, and that's just submission. That's not a round. That's nothing. Just in general, that is way better than anywhere else on the market that I'm seeing. So if you're interested in that, use promo code 13 at MMA. But yeah, this isn't a sponsored one. It's genuinely the best line that I can see it at this current point anyway. Paul got it at +550. That must have been earlier in the week. That was before the lines moved. But if so, that is a great line, because just plain old submission any round for GM3 at +550 is, you have to play that. You have to. But yeah, I think GM3 gets it done. I think he gets the submission. Derek Izzy's got a feeling, and you know what? That's enough for me. I think that gets it done. Yeah, I feel like it's got to be. So we're going GM3 by submission. I do think that there is a kind of like the sub or the knockout round 1 option for Oleksiejczuk. So if you're really concerned, you can cover your bet with that, but then you're really hoping he doesn't get a knockout in round 2. So I don't know. But Steven, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, no, both you guys made some great points. But I got to go with Oleksiejczuk here. Like I agree with what a lot of Monk said, and I also agree with what you said too, Tyler. Like I've cashed on GM3. I was on him against Shabazian, so I've had some nice tickets cashed with GM3, but I just think he's declining, and he's been knocked out a handful of times early, and that's like Monk said. That's how Oleksiejczuk wins, is an early KO, right? So I think he could rip some body shots, go upstairs, and I could see him putting out GM3 early. Don't love the straight money line. So yeah, if you want to play it, maybe you go round 1 KO, or you kind of have to get creative to play it. But yeah, I'm going to pick Oleksiejczuk, but if it gets to round 3 and he starts to look a bit tired, that's definitely going to get a bit sweaty for sure. Can't ever count out GM3.
Absolutely. And look at those Scrabble scores. It's the Z's right there. The Z in Oleksiejczuk is what's doing it. It's got to be 38.
And the J, you can't beat that.
And the J, that's true. And the J, yeah, beats him by 20 points. That's legit. Like, who would have thought? Like, that man's he's got to have. I mean, there's some wild names that we've had in the UFC, but that one's got to be top 5 at least for most high scoring Scrabble last names in the UFC. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Joanna might be 1, but he's a close 2.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. It's got to be a Polish name regardless, because of the high usage of Z's for sure and J's. But with that, we've got 2 for Oleksiejczuk, 1 for GM3. But we all understand the value of the GM3 sub, so that is definitely a possibility. Now this fight is super interesting. So let's see. Monk started last time, so that means I get to start this one. Awesome. I'm excited for this, because it's Basanger, I think is how you say his first name, Swisserkav. He fought literally on Tuesday, and he's fighting again. But the Tuesday fight he took was on like 4 days' notice. So he's had 2 fights, both of them on like 4 or 3 days' notice. And he's got these 2 fights, and he's got to make 185 pounds for both of them. So that's wild. But he's fighting a guy in Eric Nolan that not a lot of people are aware of. Like, Nolan is good, right? But he's a welterweight. So that is something. He's stepping in on short notice, obviously. I guess both guys are. But he's taking this on short notice. He got signed to the promotion for this. CFFC champion. Just beat my guy Blaine Richards. I'm from Omaha, so I was, obviously there's that.
Dude, I'm from Omaha.
What's up? You are?
I'm from Omaha. Yeah,
no way.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. You live in Omaha?
That. Yeah. I've born and raised for like 27 years. I went
no
to
way, dude. That's
graduated
wild.
Omaha North.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is nuts. All right, we're both from Omaha. Son of a gun, Nebraska, repping it out.
That's right.
But anyway, so yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. You don't meet many Omaha people here.
No, you definitely don't.
But Eric Nolan is a guy that I'm extremely familiar with because of that, because I was watching that fight very closely where he beat Blaine. And for me, I think this fight could surprise a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to say that Swisserkav is going to absolutely just run through this dude, and he could. It's short notice in both guys. It's kind of tough. Get the go Jordan Burroughs right there. I'm like, shout out Nebraska, right? It's one of those things where I could see Nolan just cracking this man and putting him out, because this dude has dynamite in his hands, like absolute dynamite in his hands. And he will hurt you if he gets into boxing range with you. He can wrestle as well. I don't think wrestling is going to work against Swisserkav. The guy's got excellent takedown defense, and anybody I've seen try to take him down either just gets stuffed or he ends up on top. So I don't know that that's the path, but I know that everybody can get knocked out no matter how good their chin looks or whatever. So Nolan's live as a dog. I am still taking Swisserkav. He's very skilled, but 2 weight cuts in less than a week, and both of them on short notice, does not make me super confident in that. So this is a fight where I kind of just, you watch and you see. Swisserkav seems like the goods. Absolutely. I think Nolan's going to be the goods at welterweight. I think he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be champion at welterweight, but I think he's like somebody that can compete at the UFC level. That's my opinion on this fight. I'm taking Swisserkav for a pick, but yeah, I would be very cautious there. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you broke that down well. Watch some tape on Nolan. He's definitely not bad. can wrestle, but like you alluded to as well, not sure that's really going to work all that well here, especially coming up a whole weight class, right? 15 pounds. It's a big difference. And yeah, Swisserkav looked obviously, I mean, didn't last very long, but looked good for how long it did last in the Contender Series there. So yeah, no, I definitely think Swisserkav would be the side here. Yeah, I think, you know, he's got a bright future. He's super talented. Yeah, I think he is the goods. Absolutely.
Fair enough. Monk, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree here and take the favorite. I don't have any stats on this one. In fact, I just learned about this fight. Like I knew it was coming today, but I wasn't sure who exactly was fighting. But yeah, you gotta love it. This is the definition of a high variance fight. Like anything can happen here. Get both of these guys in your lineups. We assume that now this dude, I don't even know his freaking name off the top of my head. Swisserkav, it looks like. He's like a minus 900 or 1,000, 1,200 favorite according to Bet Online. So yeah, he's going to be the most expensive. Yeah, for real, he's going to be the most expensive fighter on the card by far. Probably at 96. Like I forget who said it earlier. God, I can't remember. Yeah, Dixon. Thank you. But yeah, I got to go with him to get the win. He's got 8 KOs in like 9 or 10 fights. It's looking pretty good there. Nolan also has a few KOs. Like you said, if he's not going to be able to get takedowns, man, this is probably going to be. It's going to get ugly. It could get ugly pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm going to take the favorite here and just look to see what happens and look, get stats in and stuff after that. If you guys haven't, not you guys, but you guys, the chat haven't figured out I'm a big stat guy. Now that doesn't mean I don't watch tape or that you shouldn't watch tape. You got to just get as much I'm a big proponent of getting as much information visually or by the numbers as possible before making any kind of financial decisions. But that said, I'm going to look to see what the stats say after this one and just kind of ride with the favorite here.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, stats are awesome, but like, yeah, you have to combine the two, like you were saying, because if you just look at numbers, sometimes you get misled, you're like, oh, somebody outlanded somebody, but that doesn't always tell the whole story. So, but if you have that and it shows, and that's usually in like isolated incidences. Over the long haul, if you have consistent stats, typically it's going to tell you more of a complete picture. So then when you got two guys, both short notice, both making UFC debuts, you got to rely entirely on tape because the regional stats aren't really a thing. So, but yeah, for this one though, like there's so much variance. Just definitely a fight that, I mean, a minus 1,000 favorite in this fight is wild, but I also get it, but I don't know. It's crazy. Steven will be kicking off the next one, and we are flying through these. This is the first of the main card. We don't have to go so fast, but we are just having such a good time. We have Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Steven, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this one a lot, actually. I think Asakura is the side here for sure. I think Elliott can get hurt badly here. There's rumors out there that his 1.5-year layoff or just over that was due to knee surgeries. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I heard, which I definitely don't like that at all. Especially being 38 at flyweight, that's not a good thing at all. Kai is really big for the weight class, so I like that as well. He's really explosive. He's got great feints, timing. He's fast. There's a lot of things to like, right? Elliott has never been KO'd in the UFC, so that's something to think about. But I do think Kai could catch him here with a highlight reel knee. He's got excellent knees. If you watch his tape, he's got some nasty knees. Yeah, I think his timing and striking is just going to be too much here. He's got the edge in the striking, the age, the cardio, the power. I think it's going to be the difference here. And a lot of people are down on Asakura after that Pantoja fight, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. Like, Pantoja is an excellent fighter, and the fact that the UFC brought Kai over and in his first fight fed him to the champ or gave him a title fight, that speaks volumes to me. Like, I don't know exactly why, but the UFC does not like Pantoja. They disrespect him on the pound for pound.
Should be number
one. In my opinion, they were giving Kai that fight. They wanted Kai to knock him out. They do not like him, and they want somebody else as the champ. So giving him to Pantoja, that speaks volumes. I think they like Asakura. I think this is a get-right spot for him, and I think they want him to get a highlight reel knockout under the UFC banner in this one.
Anybody saying that they're disrespecting Pantoja is somebody that I can agree with, because that man should be pound for pound number one. He's got more defenses than any other standing champion currently, especially in the men's division. I believe that Weili probably has more than 4 I can't remember off the top of my head, but they don't cross over the pound for pounds. It's men's and women's. So Pantoja should be number 1 pound for pound, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody says, but either way, Monk, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I agree. Pantoja's a freaking beast. Like, I mean, sorry, this is for my DraftKings nerds. That dude scored 143 points, which is insane. 3 fights in a row. He hit 100. I mean, we're rounding up and down like 1/2 a point. 143 and 3 in a row. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. It's just phenomenal. And against Kai Asakura, whoever, if they wanted Asakura if they match that up so he'd knock out the champ, they should think about, a new matchmaker, because he got absolutely fucking rolled in that one. Got taken down 3 times. He got outstruck basically 2-1. Actually, yeah, about 2-1, and out-controlled, finished in the 8th minute. So yeah, that was an interesting choice there. The knee thing that Steven said from Tim Elliott is super scary, because if he cannot get Kai Asakura off his feet, what is going to happen here? Like, Steven's also right. He's never been knocked out. He's never even been knocked down, according to official UFC stats. But we could easily see his first one of both of those categories in this fight. So if his knees are shot, especially at 38 years old, that is not good. His only wins aren't really like Ryan Benoit, Espinoza. Tajir is his best win by far. Somehow I was on Elliott for that one, especially in DraftKings. So that was big. He was plus 200 underdog. Altamirano, Sue Madarji, like Madarji can crack, but if he doesn't knock you out, like he doesn't have much in the way of defense. So especially in the way of like takedown defense. So if Elliott can't get that going against Kai Asakura, you guys are both, I mean, you're right. It's going to just be probably a steamrolling here. You got to, again, a stat guy, I got to throw everything out the window from that Pantoja fight, because that tells me nothing about Kai Asakura when he loses to the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. So doesn't really tell me anything, but I'm going with Asakura to get Tim Elliott out of there, hand him his first KO loss. That said, Elliott's got pretty good defense, only allows 2.6 per minute. Now, like I said, never been knocked out, but still, who's he been fighting? Like Madarji cracks, that's for sure. But other than that, I mean, Royval, that was what, 5 years ago, got subbed. I mean, Figgy, he's fought some good guys, but I don't know if he's ever fought anyone that probably hits as hard as Kai Asakura. So, and you're right, he's giant. Not giant, but I mean, he's still taller than Tim Elliott, who's also a big flyweight at 5'7", and he's got him outreached. He's got him in height, and he's got the power for sure. And why wouldn't the UFC give him this fight? Of course, they want to raise their stock. They want somebody from Japan, from Asia, winning fights like very, very consistently. We've got like guys like Taira, Rinya Nakamura just absolutely smashed his opponent. They want to add Kai Asakura to that list, and for good reason. So yeah, I'm siding there. Give me Asakura, hopefully to finish Tim Elliott for the first time via KO.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing you mentioned, because like the UFC, what they probably did is looked at the rankings and thought, okay, who in the top 15 can we give Kai Asakura that we feel confident he can get a win in a bounce back spot here, because we don't want him to be 0-2 in the UFC. And this isn't like a knock at Tim Elliott, but like the dude hasn't fought in almost 2 years.
He's 9-11.
Yeah.
Never
and
forget.
Like exactly, he's riddled with injuries, and he's somehow still ranked, which is crazy. I don't know, but hey, he's ranked, so they need a spot for him. And there's 2 things. So there's one thing I really like about each of these fighters. For Tim Elliott, it's the fact that he will just blatantly cheat his way to a victory and does not care. And if you're backing a guy, if you're on the other side, you get really mad when someone's cheating. But if you're backing a guy and they're cheating, it's veteran savvy. Am I right? So you're like, oh, he's just a savvy veteran. It's not cheating. That's veteran savvy. But the thing I like about Kai Asakura, this dude has killer instinct for days. When he has you hurt, dude's like a dog on a bone. The one thing I could see being a problem is the dude could soccer kick somebody over in Ryzen. Can't do that here. So if he cracks Tim Elliott and just soccer kicks him, we might see a DQ. But I don't think he'll do that. I'm going to hope that he's got it figured out, and I hope it doesn't make him apprehensive, but I don't think it will. I think Kai Asakura is an absolute talent. I don't put anything against him for losing to Pantoja. Pantoja he's beating pretty much everybody, no problem these days. His closest fights are still fights where he's clearly winning 3-2 against the best guys that have ever done it in the division. So for me, that is what it is. But I think Asakura is a good talent. I do think that he has the skill to beat a guy like Tim Elliott, and I think that he rolls here. So there we go. we've got all three on the same side. Kai Asakura. That's what we like to see. We can move on. We're moving up to okay. So that, like you said, there's some speculation on this one, but I think it's still on. We're gonna act as if it's still on. We got Jared Cannonier versus Michael Paige. I always feel weird by saying Michael Paige and not including Venom in there. So I feel like I have to do it to make it feel okay. So let's see. I believe Monk is starting this one. What are your thoughts, Monk?
Oh boy. Yeah, I am probably picking MVP to win, but I'm not betting him, and I'm certainly not rostering him in DraftKings. Like, this dude might be the worst DraftKings fighter that's ever fought in history, like with more than one win. He scored 50 points in a fight, and then he scored like 50 points in another fight. It's just real bad. The win over Shara is good, but I mean, what are we doing? He hasn't even hit 3 strikes a minute in any of his fights. There's hardly any control time, and if there is, it's just cage time for the most part, where both guys are just catching their breath. He's going to dance around. He's going to, take pot shots, little jabs here and there on Cannonier. And he should, because he has to stay the hell away from Jared Cannonier. He doesn't want to get cracked, and he doesn't want to get taken down. Now, we really don't have to worry about that much from Cannonier. He lands like 0.15 takedowns per 5 minutes. And the only times that he is won lately, it looks like he's attempting several takedowns and generally out striking his opponent. I don't know that anyone is going to outstrike MVP unless it happens like super early. He just has, his style lends itself to a fantastic defensive numbers. And don't get me wrong, I love Stephen Thompson. I'm not calling him boring, but Michael Venom Page is like the most boring version of Stephen Thompson, of that karate point fighting style. It's just, at least in the UFC, like, this dude's got highlights for sure, but he has not shown any of that whatsoever in this organization. So I know a lot of people are on Cannonier, and probably for good reason, because if he gets his hands on him, it's going to be, it could be interesting for MVP for sure, especially with the volume that we've seen from Cannonier. He's generally a slow starter at 3.5 strikes in the first, but he goes up 74% to 6 strikes a minute in the second. That's over an hour of second rounds in the UFC octagon. And then the third, it drops a little bit, but it's still well over his first round number at 4.5. So I think he's going to have to look for some takedowns, but he's also going to have to be careful about getting inside the distance with MVP, because if he can't take him down, he might eat a knee or something. He might eat a few punches on the way in. And this could just be a boring as hell striking affair. Last I saw, it was -225 goes to decision. Yeah, I don't want any part of MVP, who's also the highest salary he's ever been in DraftKings. He was 74 against Shara, 8K, and 77 against Holland. Those are 3 underdog salaries, guys. And now he's like 87 or 88, something like that, $100. It is just ridiculous. Don't play this guy ever. Even if he smashes Cannonier somehow in the first round, I'm still going to fade the shit out of him going forward, just as far as DraftKings goes. I'm picking him to win a boring decision, but I'm hoping Cannonier gets it done. This is also the oldest fight on the card. I mean, MVP's 38 and Cannonier's 41 years old. So, I mean, Cannonier gets hit 4.5 strikes a minute, but 2.3 from MVP so far. So unless something crazy happens, MVP decision, and I hate every minute of it.
Yeah, for me, with this fight, especially like from a DraftKings standpoint, it's just neither side of an MVP fight is going to score well. So I just avoid both of them, you know, because he makes his opponents low volume and he's low volume as MVP. So yeah. And then on things like your like underdog and prize picks and stuff like that, a lot of times you can just play the under on strikes for both sides of the matchup because the dude just makes people not do anything. So yeah, I agree with everything that Monk said. MVP probably wins a very boring striking match, which is wild to say that it's a boring striking match, but it is. It's just point fights him, really hard to get a hold of, really hard to hit. His takedown defense is actually usually pretty good. He uses his range more than anything, but he definitely is able to use the traditional style of takedown defense if need be. But yeah, the range is where he gets it done for the most part as far as avoiding takedowns. Yeah, I think it's MVP just outpointing him, probably landing like 20 strikes or something, and Cannonier will land like 12, and that's gonna be the 3-round decision for MVP. And then he's gonna do the little like hand thing that he does, and that's what it's gonna be. Steven, what do you think?
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm with you guys here, man. Like, I think MVP wins, like, that blitzing karate style, tricky to deal with. He controls that range super well, feints often, can lead to very boring fights for sure. Yeah, you can use his speed and timing here to land shots on Cannonier and keep him guessing. His footwork could be a problem too. Yeah, Cannonier is very tough though. And he's going to be the bigger guy, right? Cannonier, former heavyweight, whereas MVP, former welterweight. So he's going to have that lighter man skill. MVP will. And, but yeah, like, kind of like Monk was saying, like Cannonier, like, doesn't really shoot a whole lot of takedowns, but if he could grapple here and get his hands on him, that would definitely help him out here a lot. I saw in an interview that he said he's going to use patient pressure to avoid MVP's traps, which, again, if you're looking at the over in the strikes landed, probably not what you want to hear. So, yeah, I'll pick MVP to win a boring decision, but not sure I will get to the window with that one.
Yeah, that's I meant to say this. Sorry, super quick. The only guy Cannonier is beaten. I mean, he's 6-4, right? Yeah, in his last 10. 5 of those wins are against dudes that love getting hit in the face. RoboCop, Vittori, almost 10 strikes a minute over 25 minutes. Sean Strickland loves getting hit in the face. Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson, all those dudes have 0 striking defense, and Michael Paige is like the opposite of that.
And yeah, so because like a lot of people will be like, oh, but like Cannonier technically has the record for strikes landed in a middleweight fight. He does. Nobody's going to set a record like that against MVP is the thing. So it doesn't like a guy who notoriously throws a ton of volume, someone like a Strickland, for example, is always just putting jabs out there. I think even for him against MVP, I think he ends up with low volume. It's just one of those things. The guy it's incredibly tough to get your range on him. So yeah, I imagine that's exactly what we're going to see is low volume. And somehow, like you said, he's the most expensive he's ever been on DraftKings. So that's always fun. Good reason to fade it.
Yeah.
So next we'll move on to a matchup in the welterweight division, which it's going to be fun. At least it should be. Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates. I believe I'm kicking this one off. This should be fun because Jeff Neal doesn't know how to have a bad fight. The dude he makes fights fun. That's what Jeff Neal does. And Carlos Prates usually knocks people out. So I think it's a good fight. I think it's a fun fight. I think we might get a decision somehow. I think it's going to be one of those fights where you're like, how did neither of these guys go down? But that's what I see happening. I'm going to edge Prates because I think he's going to be able to land at range better. I think in the pocket, there will be some dicey moments for him. And I think that Jeff Neal's got a lot of upside in the pocket. Neal's also got a really sneaky head kick, but I feel like you're not landing that on a guy like Prates. I think his like Muay Thai background is going to be able to carry him through with the kicks there. I've got to edge Prates to win a decision, but I think it's going to be competitive, and it might be one of those like 30-27s that you're like, it was 30-27 because he won all 3 rounds, but also like none of the rounds were that far off. So it was like a really close 30-27, and it sounds weird when you say it like that, but I think that's kind of what we're going to get. So Prates by decision is my pick. Steven, what about you?
Yeah, for me it's Prates here for sure. I think he's got more tools here. He's a younger guy. Jeff Neal definitely has some good boxing. Prates can start slow at times for sure. But I think he could find and hurt Neal here and get it done by TKO. I wouldn't be shocked if it went to a decision, but just the way I see this fight playing out, I think it's going to be a scrap for sure. And I think Prates could get him with a knee, a kick, punch, like any sort of different way. I think that Ian Gary fight, was a good lesson for Prates. I think he's going to learn a lot from that. And him coming off a loss, like I think he's going to be motivated here, motivation spot, right? Trains at the Fighting Nerds gym, one of the best gyms in all of MMA right now for sure. Neal also had some serious health concerns in his career as well, which I don't love. Shout out to him for, coming back from that. But yeah, for me, I'm going to go Prates by TKO here.
There we go. 2 for Prates, different methods though. Monk, what do you got?
Yeah, we're going to go all 3 for Prates, but I do agree with U138 is the decision. It's tough, man. Jeff Neal's a super tough out. He's only been finished once. That was by Shavkat in the waning seconds of the 3rd round, basically in the 15th minute. We have a minus like 180, 190. I've seen even ITD line here overall, and I just don't know that I agree with that. Usually I see Carlos Prates on the lineup, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing him in DraftKings. I don't care what his salary is. This time, I am surprised even to myself because I'm a huge fighting nerds guy. I mean, love them. How do you not love these guys?
Sure.
And I'm a data guy, and they're one of the first gyms that I've heard of that actually hired a data analyst. So we've got that going for us as well. I'm going to fade him. I'm going to fade him a little bit because I think this goes to decision. Neither guy has very good defense whatsoever. They both get outstruck. They get hit with almost basically on average 5 strikes a minute between them. The difference is Prates has a 49% defense and Jeff Neal has a 58% defense. So he must just be getting, his opponents are just throwing tons and tons of strikes against him. We're not worried about takedowns from either guy. Prates gets out controlled 29-71. That's where Jeff Neal kind of shines. 72, almost 73% of all grappling time he is controlling. And he doesn't land takedowns, which means he is getting control time against the cage. Mm-hmm. And that's going to slow this fight down significantly. That's going to slow down Prates, who, seems like he's an offensive powerhouse, but really he lands on average 3.6 a minute. It's just the actual power that he does have tends to end fights pretty quickly. And he has a good strength of schedule. We all saw, if he was 1% less tired in that Gary fight, man, he was on, that could have been a finish. Like in any time in the last like 120 seconds, basically. So both guys have fought tremendous competition. Both guys have beaten very good competition. I think this line, I don't know if it's too wide. I guess it's probably too wide. I see it as closer to like a minus, I don't know, inside minus 200. What are we at now? I guess it has narrowed a bit. I had it at 240 as of 2 days ago. So, wow, that means money is really coming in on Jeff Neal, which is interesting to see. So I'm picking Prates by decision. But Neal is one tough out, man. And yeah, he could get KO'd, but I'm going to have to go with the decision here. And that means the DraftKings and maybe some of the betting value is on Jeff Neal, as we've been seeing here. The salaries are kind of wide. I think Jeff Neal's like 7,100. That's almost a must play, especially in cash games. He's almost a cash game lock at that point for me. So yeah, I'm going to go with Prates, but hopefully this goes 15 minutes. We see some control time for Neal. Unlikely to see takedowns, but it's going to be interesting who lands earlier. Jeff Neal's got a jab that just doesn't stop. I mean, 5 strikes a minute from Neal and 3.6 from Prates. Without looking, I would have said those two numbers are flipped just on the top of my head. So it's super interesting. The lack of defense from both guys is interesting. So whoever can kind of start to take this fight over on the feet is going to have success here. And if there's cage control time by Neal, he's going to be winning every single one of those minutes.
That's absolutely a good point, is the cage control time. That's something I hadn't really thought about in this striking matchup too, because you assume that the cage control comes from somebody initiating with like a grappling sequence, but it can also happen with 2 guys coming forward to strike and then one striker having to back up, and eventually you just run out of real estate and you get stuck against the cage. And instead of staying at range and picking shots while the other person's back against the cage, a lot of guys will just go up against the cage and dirty box, and that's something Neal will do. So yeah, that's a great point. And since we're all on Prates by decision, it's kind of interesting though that Neal is or I guess we're not all on the decision, but all of us are on Prates. It's interesting that Neal is the guy that's winning those minutes up against the cage, but it's starting to make me think that the value is on Neal. So who knows? But I do still think Prates. But yeah, it's closer than the line. I do agree with that. We'll go ahead and move on to the co-main event already, guys. And anybody in the chat, if you're hanging out, we haven't nagged you about this. Would you do me a solid and just hit the like button? I do appreciate it. It's very nice. It doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, it's easy to do, and it gets me off your case. All right, let's move on to the co-main. Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico. Interesting fight for me. But I'm not the one that's starting this one off. Steven is, and I'm going to be the one that wraps it up. So I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say first. Steven, what do you got?
Yeah, no, this is an interesting one. I saw some rumors that it is a 5-round fight. I believe it is 5 on Tapology. It's showing 5.
I'm seeing it was 3 on Tapology.
Is it showing 3 now? I saw 5 earlier today. It's showing 3.
Really? Yeah, it's showing 3 right now. I have no idea what it was earlier.
Okay, I've been hearing rumors about it. I didn't think it was true, but earlier today I saw 5. So either way, though, yeah, it's an interesting one. Lerone, he's been in some big fights in the UFC. Still has that undefeated record. he's got good striking and footwork here. And he's going to be on the back foot here. Like I see him on the back foot. That's sort of more a style, right? You know, make you come to him, sort of try to catch you as you're coming in, sort of thing, right? I think that could be an issue for him here. Like, you know, Pico is going to be pressing him. Pre-tape, I was leaning Murphy, saw the odds, and I was like, I want to, you know, look into this one some more. But after tape, man, I can see Pico getting this one done. Like, I really can. He's got great wrestling and clean boxing. He's going to get in Murphy's face and look to rip shots on him, you know, get him against the cage, rip those body shots. Yeah, I think Pico's going to have more pathways to win here because he could wrestle. Not that Murphy can't, but if anybody shoots here, I see it being Pico. Yeah, Murphy pretty much is going to have just the one pathway to win, striking on that back foot. And he's going to have to fight a near perfect fight. Like, Pico hits hard, man. Like, he's got some power for sure. And yeah, I just think, you know, Murphy has a good get up game like he does, but I think Pico will be able to get takedowns when he wants. And, you know, in that Dan Ige fight in the first round, closer to the end, Ige rocked Murphy bad and almost put him out. And I think if Pico gets that chance, which I think he very well may, I think he could put out Murphy. So I could see it going the distance. I could also see Pico getting a KO. Whereas if Murphy wins, I only really see it being a decision. So for me, I'm going to take Ige in this one. Or sorry, not Ige. I'm going to take Pico in this one.
There you go. Fair enough. All right. First one for Pico. Monk, what are your thoughts on this one? And do you have stats for Pico?
I do not, outside of his like finish rate, basically. I haven't even looked to see if Bellator stats are even a thing, but
Probably not.
I did, of course, you know, do my due diligence and wiki cap this fight. Obviously, I've seen Aaron Pico in several fights before, but he's not fighting for titles in Bellator like Pachi or Patricky. He's not, you know, like I just said, not fighting. He's not fighting like the best names overall. He has looked pretty good in all of his fights. That said, everybody's looking at this one of two ways. Like, you know, Aaron Pico's coming over from Bellator. These Bellator guys suck, and he's going to see what it's like in the UFC, and Murphy's going to smash. The other one is Murphy's a decision merchant, which I fucking hate because everyone loves Shara Bullet Magomedov, and that dude is a decision merchant as well. So I don't get that whatsoever. But yeah, everyone hates on Lerone Murphy. They love to hate on him, and so Pico's going to come in here and smash him. I get both sides. I lean more towards the Murphy side personally, just because I need to see it with a lot of these guys that come over from other promotions, because there is a skill gap for the most part, unless you're, you know, talking about even Patricky. He fought fantastic fighters in Bellator for the most part, but there is generally a skill gap here, and I got to see it first. Murphy is somehow 16-0. 16-0-1, I should say. On paper, if you do all their stats and do a bunch of math that I do, he barely lost the Emmett fight. He barely lost the Ige fight. He got beat by Gabriel Santos.
Definitely, that was a robbery. Yeah, I'm still mad about it.
Exactly. And he kind of got beat by even Makwan Amirkhani before he got KO'd, obviously. But he landed 5 takedowns, Amirkhani did, in like 4 minutes or something like that, controlled him for 4 or 5 minutes, and then gets KO'd. So he was dominating the fight before he did what Makwan Amirkhani always does. Yep. So I'm gonna go with Murphy, but I'm avoiding this completely in DFS as far as cash games go. I'm avoiding it for betting whatsoever. Lerone Murphy, he's got a 52% takedown defense. That's the big issue here. And Pico looks like he can obviously, like, he knows how to wrestle. So the defense and striking is very good. The offense is pretty good for the most part. But this could be a 3-round decision. It could be a split decision. I'm going to pick Murphy, but I'm not confident. I just have to see what Pico looks like against UFC competition for the most part. And this is not like, a weak matchup. This is a very interesting matchup that I'm looking forward to watching. But as far as any kind of action on DFS or in Vegas action, I'm not really looking forward to that one. But yeah, Murphy generally only allows 2.5 strikes a minute. Like I said, the defense on takedowns is suspect, but he still outcontrols his opponents 60-40. He lands 4.5 strikes a minute. It's just, what Murphy are we going to see here? Because like Steven said, he got rocked by Ige. Like, he's been rocked several times, not necessarily taking knockdowns, but getting rocked overall. Josh Emmett was always one punch away from finishing that fight. Only landed 41 strikes in 25 minutes, but still, Emmett had a ton of takedowns that he landed on Murphy, out-controlled him almost 4 minutes to 0. So it just depends, man. If Pico can start landing these takedowns, if we see that from Pico, Murphy could be in for a long night. If we don't, it's probably going to be Murphy decision.
Yeah, that is the thing. Like, it makes you wonder about Lerone Murphy. Like, did he go the path of someone like say a Bob Dylan who sold his soul to the devil to write good music, right? I mean,
True.
he should have worded that a little bit different because he doesn't exactly perform the greatest, but he writes great music. Lerone Murphy sold his soul so he could just always win a decision, regardless of whether he should or not, because he definitely lost to Gabriel Santos. I had a bet on Santos. I'm still upset about it to this day. Yeah. I remember I was invited onto somebody else's fight companion. They were doing like a tiered fight companion, and I came on for one fight, and it was that fight. And I was like, look, guys, I got to bet on Santos. Everybody else was on Murphy. I'm like, he's going to win this. We get there to the scorecards, and everybody's like, oh, dude, Santos got this. And I was like, I'm counting my money. And then they robbed the man blind. So there we go. That said, I feel like if Pico comes out here and wrestles early and often, he probably can win. Not if it goes to decision, I guess, because, the whole, soul the soul of the devil thing. But otherwise, if he does not, I feel like it's going to be one of those fights where somehow Murphy just does enough to get the judges on his side. Like, I don't know if he just looks good in moments to the judges, even when it seems like to the audience it's not like a clear win, but he just somehow edges them out. I think, but I feel like it's hard to do if he just spends 14 minutes on his back. So I feel like if Pico goes out and starts shooting takedowns early, which we haven't seen him do a lot lately, I feel like if he does that, he could win. But if he doesn't, I feel like it's Murphy. Because another problem that Pico has is he kind of falls in love with the big power shot, and that does leave him open to counters. And Murphy's smart. He's gonna fight to a smart game plan, and I think that's something that he could do in this fight to just kind of pick him apart, poke and prod him until he just gets up on the jabs, things like that, or does just enough to eke out another split decision. So I'm gonna take Lerone Murphy, especially because he's a dog too. Like, you get underdog prices on a guy that's supposedly 16-0. It's tough to not get there for that. But yeah, I feel like it's a tough one to call. I think this is one of the tougher fights on the card for me, and the line reflects that as well. Let's see. Nate says that Lerone with the counter elbows and knees up the middle are going to land a lot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he could finish Pico, especially with the counter elbows and knees, especially if Pico shooting takedowns. That's definitely a possibility. And I feel like if he's getting a finish, it's something like that. I don't feel like he's just going to drop him with his hands or finish him on the mat. But yeah, definitely a counter knee for sure off a takedown shot is live. Next up, we've got our main event. My goodness, this is the main event, guys. The probably the biggest main event that we've had this year. And that's saying something. We've had some huge fights this year, like tons. So, but this is probably the biggest one since we didn't get the Aspinall-Jones fight. We have Dricus du Plessis defending his championship. He's won the title against Strickland, defended the title against both Strickland and Adesanya. He's got 2 defenses under his reign so far. Chimaev though is 14-0, which is that alone is like a championship kind of when you've made it to the upper echelon and still have that undefeated record. Monk's kicking this one off. What are your thoughts on the main event here? And I would love to hear what the stats say in this one, because this is a fight that stats seem like they'd be difficult to extract.
Yeah, it can be interesting. First of all, it's almost criminal what this fucking line is. And I only see that it's widened since I had it at minus 225 for Chimaev, and now I'm seeing plus minus 260 on something called Jazz. But yeah, it's like minus 250, minus 245. Like, it's getting wider, and I don't understand it. Like, obviously I do from, if everyone kind of has this take. It's Chimaev in round 1 or round 2, and it's du Plessis anytime after that, whether it goes to decision or there's a finish. Both guys have super suspect defense for the most part. But Hamzat's offensive numbers are crazy, like 5.5 strikes a minute at a 59% accuracy, 1.5 takedowns per 5 minutes, controls 2.7 minutes of all rounds, like out of 5 minutes of each 5 minutes, I should say. That's 99.5% control time, guys. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. and that's a huge number of strikes. That said, Du Plessis isn't far behind. He's at over 6 strikes a minute, 0.85 takedowns per 5, and controls 75% of the grappling. It's the defense for sure. And you wouldn't think that off the bat, but Chimaev is pretty front loaded when it comes to the wrestling. Like, he's 5.7 strikes in the first, 4.4 in the second, and 5.7 in the third. 1.8 takedowns per round one. 4 minutes of control time on average out in round ones, like out of 5 minutes. That's fucking crazy. But then in the second round, takedowns drop by 26% to 1.3. Control time drops by 80% to less than a minute at 0.8. It comes back up in the third, but only that's 1.2, control time minutes per fight minute, per 5 fight minutes. So it definitely is front loaded. Whereas Du Plessis only increases his striking rounds 1, 2, and 3. It's 4.9, it's 6.6, and then 7.7 in the third. There's a little dip in the fourth. We've seen him for like almost 14 minutes of 5.3, but then in the fifth, it goes right back up to 7. Now, he's kind of the same way. His takedowns are pretty front loaded as well, but it's at least round 1 and round 2. Round 4, actually, we see a resurgence with almost a takedown and a half in that round, and then half a minute of control time. So we're probably not going to see, actually, no, we could see that against a tired Chimaev, who we've never ever seen in the 16th minute of a fight ever. He's been scheduled for 5 rounds twice. They both ended inside of 3.5 minutes. One of them was Kevin Holland in a ridiculous fight, catch weight, that if anyone remembers that whole night before was crazy. And it's probably all Khamzat's fault, but it is what it is. And then he broke Whitaker's face, like just smashed him like that dude in Game of Thrones. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting. I'm on the Du Plessis side. I think his opponents are better. They're all champs, former champs, or basically right on the door, especially in like the last 4 or 5 matches, something like that. It's Strickland twice, it's Izzy, and it's Robert Whitaker. It's just fantastic. We didn't believe him, at least I didn't, when he's like, oh, I have to get nose surgery because I can't breathe. And then he got nose surgery, and he's like, oh, now I can breathe, and I'm gonna kill everybody, as Chimaev says. And that's exactly, I was like, sure, bud, whatever. Well, that's exactly what he's freaking done in every fight, and I am more and more impressed with this dude. I don't know if I like his personality, but I don't have to. He is very impressive when he gets inside that cage, and I don't know if that's going to stop here. Like, I expect him to lose 1 or 2 rounds, but then he's going to win, 48-47 via decision, or he's going to get a late finish. This is a 5-star fight for DraftKings. Go all in. I don't know if would be what they call stacking, which means you play both guys in a cash game, hoping that it goes 5 rounds where even the loser scores 80 points and you score over 200 or something total. That would be big. I don't see that happening because I think one of these guys looks very poor. Dricus will look bad in the first and second, or Khamzat later in the fight. So their offenses are fantastic. Their defenses are extremely suspect, especially Dricus. He gets hit way too much, almost 5 strikes a minute overall. And especially in what round was that? It looks like, as the fight goes on, third round, he's allowing 6.5, round 4, 6.2, and round 5, which has only been 10 minutes, 8.4 strikes a minute. So he landed 7.1, and that's a fantastic number. He's getting outstruck significantly. So play both of these guys in your lineups. They both make the optimal super heavy rate. 8,900 is a great price for Chimaev. 7,300 is a criminally low salary for Du Plessis, and even the number at plus got to be 200 at this point or close to it. Fight Du Plessis to win by decision, 450. It's probably even wider than that now. A late sub or KO, we're at 450, 800. I don't think Khamzat's going to get subbed, but I also don't see him getting knocked out. But yeah, I just think as this fight goes on, it's Dricus. He just has to survive, man. We got to see what Khamzat looks like. He hasn't fought in America, I don't think, in quite a while. So
not even that 279 card was the last one. Yeah,
I think so. And I don't even believe that it's going to happen until these guys, make weight and get, as they say, when the cage door locks. So that's when I'll be super excited for it. But you're right, man. This is one hell of a main event, and I'm extremely looking forward to it very much. And I just think it's too wide. This is criminally disrespectful on Dricus Du Plessis at 7,300. Like, I got to play this dude. I got to play Khamzat as well. But if we're talking ownership in DraftKings, I'm 65-35 on Du Plessis probably this week.
Yeah, I totally get it. This is one of those where the line kind of dictated my pick a little bit, and I never like to do that. Like, people accuse me of it all the time. I try not to do that. But in this one, I genuinely can't see either guy losing. So maybe a draw is on the table, but like I have a really hard time seeing either guy lose in this because DDP, for all of his faults, just wins. The dude is a gosh darn winner. He's got grit, toughness. He's showing no signs of slowing down whatsoever. In fact, he keeps getting better. Khamzat, absolute dominant force. And we've seen him a couple of times where he's like, oh, he slowed down. But like we've seen him fight through whatever it is that he's like, causing him to slow down in whatever fights. And the dude still gets it done, right? I mean, he's a phenom, especially in the first round. My gosh, that guy's like a tornado. So I have a hard time seeing either guy lose. I really do. And I mean, imagine a draw. Imagine we get a 10-8 round 1, Chimaev, 10-9 round 2, Chimaev, 10-9, 3, 4, and 5 for DDP, and we get a draw. Not out of the question, right? But I really have a hard time seeing either guy lose in this one. I know DDP's lost before. It's been a long time. The dude's gotten so much better since then. Fixed his nose even. So, I mean, there you go. I sided with DDP is kind of because it was one of those things where, like, I mean, you got the reigning champion at over plus 200. Okay, we're team DDP in this one. I really, really won't be surprised either way. This is we're cracking a root beer. We're watching this fight. We're gonna have a good time. I can't even explain like the level of like just unknowing with how this is going to go. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And I'm a guy that likes to pride myself on saying, I can look at a couple of guys and say, okay, I at least think this guy wins more often than not. I don't know. I have no clue here. So being honest with you guys, I'm taking DDP because he's the underdog, and that's literally it. Steven, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you guys said. Both you guys, like, I think DDP is really getting disrespected here. Like, yeah, the champ at over plus 200, like, that's pretty surprising. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, Khamzat's got a big following, super big fan base, all that. But yeah, like, could Khamzat get it done early? Yeah, I think he could. But could DDP, survive, outlast them, outdog them, win a decision? Yeah, I can see that too. Like you said, 138. I could see it. I can't see either guy losing, like, per se. So yeah, like, as far as the line is, like, Khamzat at minus 250, don't really have much interest in that. So I think a way to, and you guys both, or most people agree, right? Like, Khamzat wins round 1 at a pretty high clip. That's kind of the consensus, right? So I think a way to play would be let one round go, see what the odds are, and then you could get it on DDP. Or a lot of people are saying Khamzat's going to win 1 and 2. Watch the first 2 rounds and see how the fight's playing out, see what the odds are looking like. And if you want to get in on DDP, the odds I'm sure would be better than plus 200. You could even wait till round, if he makes it to round 3, see how round 3 goes. And then it might be closer. Maybe it's closer, maybe not pick him, but closer to that, so you could pick your poison. Right. But yeah, like, as far as a pick, I'll pick Khamzat, but I'm not interested in betting him at this line. So I think the best way to attack this fight is a live bet. I think that's really the way to go on this one. And also Khamzat training with Coach Cal. He's a really known strength and conditioning coach, a guy that worked with TJ Dillashaw and has a lot of credit for helping TJ make his cardio better. I don't think Khamzat's just going to like gas out after 2 rounds. Like a lot of people are saying, like, I get it. Like in some of his fights, like against Usman, he didn't look as good later on. I get it. But I think overall his cardio is going to be a lot better, and he's not just going to be a gas bag and gas out. So I could definitely see this fight going a full 5 or potentially a late finish for either one of these guys. But I think it's definitely a great fight. Definitely looking forward to it, and yeah, it should be a fireworks for sure.
Yeah,
it sounds like DCQ's echoing that. What's that one?
That's a great point about the coach. I heard that this morning, and it's like, yeah, exactly. Have you seen TJ Dillashaw lately? And there's no USADA. This dude might now have perfect cardio, and then DDP is probably, screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if we get like EPO to the max Khamzat, I feel like Khamzat's probably dominating, and I don't think anybody ever beats him at that point. He's going to retire undefeated. If we have a like endless cardio Khamzat, I think the everybody from 185 to heavyweight is screwed. That guy's just going to start running them all down. Oh man, I don't even know if Big Tom can stop that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But with that, we've covered the whole card, guys. That is wild. If you're still here and you haven't liked the video, you're just being stubborn at this point. So go ahead and do that. But I had a blast covering this card. We kept it under 2 hours, which is fantastic. We know you guys, like Juicy Q was saying, look, we got to get some sleep. We got some sketchy weigh-ins possibly tomorrow. And honestly, I think we will. But I don't know if it's going to be what you expect. I don't know that Khamzat's going to miss weight. I think he's going to be right on. I think he understands the importance of a title fight. But I do think we're going to see some weigh-in shenanigans as always. It's a thing that happens, right? But let's pass it around to you guys, and we'll go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and all that good stuff. Steven, why don't you kick it off? Where can everybody find you, and what would help you the most? What do you got coming out? Things like that.
Yeah, definitely check me out on Instagram at StevensPicks_. I cap more mainstream sports like basketball, football, hockey, that kind of stuff. Also with MMA, boxing, etc. So if you're looking for all sports, check me out. I got a free Telegram group. I post free picks every day, and I also have VIP picks ran through my Dub Club. But yeah, definitely check me out there. And yeah, let's make some money. Make some money on UFC this weekend for sure.
Heck yeah, and I've got Steven's Instagram linked in the description of this video, so you can find all of his stuff through that, I do believe. Monk, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, Monk Maddox everywhere. I've been off the YouTubes for a little bit, been just doing Patreon type stuff, but it's mostly work related. I just changed jobs. I now have a ton of time, not a ton, but more time in the beginning of the week to get stuff out. So probably I need to get more active back on YouTube again. But yes, very stat heavy, DraftKings and betting heavy for the most part. So be sure to check that out. Like we said, you got to pair the stats with the fight tape. Don't ignore either one, and you'll make your best decision. So yeah, check me out on there. It's Monk Maddox everywhere. And yeah, thanks for having me on. And we got to chat more after this, being from Omaha,
yeah,
and whatnot. So yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Good to meet Steven as well. And this was a great show, man. I loved it.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you enjoyed. And yeah, everybody check out Monk. I've got his Twitter linked in the description, or X, I guess. I still keep calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm too old. But from there, you can probably find the links to everything else. With that, folks, we will catch you all down the road. I do appreciate everyone tuning in and everyone that has popped in and out throughout this stream, and those who are watching this on the replay tomorrow. Take care. Enjoy your night, and let's hopefully get some